we should be learning. Not how to move the PowerPoint. That's after the fact. It's already over way before that. So if you're going to drive a car, the clutch stops the grinding sound, skill number 1. Number 2, brake would be convenient. Number 3, steering wheel pointing device. Number 4, ignition key does magic. Yeah, after 10 skills, you can drive almost any car. Is that true? But if you want to get a big paycheck, you're going to have to learn 25 skills and drive like a race car driver. Is that true? Nobody's throwing money at us right now based upon my driving experience. So, in network marketing, how high will your level of competency have to be on the basic 25 skills, do you think? If you want a big check, how high is it going to have to be? So, we got to get started, and we're only working on skill number 11 here, but this, as Alex and some of these folks will tell you, that this is a great one to start because they can get instant results. Instead of people saying no and shutting off right away, ka-ching, let's open up the mind and get the stuff in. Now, everybody knows that most people is not the only 2-word combination in the history of the universe. And everybody knows if we learn another 2-word combination right now, we could rock and roll a lot faster. And everybody knows you haven't figured out what the next 2-word combination is, well, you just not been listening. And everybody knows I'm using all these combinations in the first part of every sentence. And everybody knows if you can't write down everybody knows is your next thing, then maybe we're in the wrong meeting room. All right, so when you say everybody knows, the back of their mind says, am I part of everybody? Am I part of nobody? Nobody's part of nobody, so I must be part of everybody. If I'm part of everybody and everybody knows it, that means I know it because what I know is true. Everybody knows the economy's in trouble. Everybody knows you're not going to get pay raises next year. Everybody knows having a job just guarantees you'll be broke. Everybody knows you can't get ahead in just one paycheck. Everybody knows the salary will just keep you barely above credit card debt. Everybody knows that the New York air makes women's skin older. Everybody knows you need an extra moisturizer at night. Everybody knows there's special serums that makes your skin look awesome. Everybody knows that you can't lose weight just by exercise alone. And everybody, how are we doing? So when you say everybody knows, they say, yeah, everybody knows that. Everybody knows that jobs interfere with the weak. Everybody knows it's miserable working for a boss who's 20 years younger than you. Everybody knows they don't pay us enough. Everybody knows this coffee is just awful. Everybody knows we don't get enough time off on holidays. Everybody knows they're working us too hard. How are we doing? Turn your partner right now and everybody knows them to death. Let's begin. Now, everybody knows that everybody knows can't possibly be the only 2-word combination other than most people. And everybody says if we could figure out another one, that'd be really cool. And everybody says if you can't figure out what the next one is, you might as well just give up because you have no idea about this business and go back to your old job. And everybody says we don't want to go back to our old job. And everybody says that whenever you say everybody says, the back of the mind says, am I part of everybody? Am I part of nobody? Nobody's part of nobody, I'm part of everybody. If everybody says it, that means I say it. If I say it, it must be true. No further proof needed. So put away the flip chart and all that research report. Because everybody says our food isn't as good as it used to be. Well, it must be true then. And everybody says if you don't take vitamins, you're just making a decision to die earlier. Well, that's probably true. And everybody says if you don't use a natural cream before you go to bed, then your skin will wrinkle so deep you can store food in it. Well, it must be true. And everybody says you either take good nutrition now or prescription drugs later. Well, everybody says a job will make you broke. Everybody says if you work hard in your job, then only your boss gets a big house for his retirement. How are we doing? Everybody says that we don't want to stand here by the coffee machine the rest of our life. Everybody says we don't do something other than watch TV at night, then we're going to be here the rest of our life. Everybody says we want our life to change. We better talk to somebody whose life has changed already instead of each other. Yeah. Everybody says you don't want to take financial advice from broke people. Everybody says you don't want to take weight loss advice from fat people. How are we doing? Good. Turn to your partner right now, and everybody says them to death. Let's begin. How to move flip charts or whatever, but is it okay if we continue this direction? Yeah. We can't send people out unarmed from day one. And the difference is this. When I got started in 1972, which is before a lot of people were born, I started off with a year and 10 months of total failure. Total nerd. And I talked to about 1,500 people over a year and 10 months from the mall. Or it could have been I was just unfortunate, bad streak of luck that everybody I talked to just happened to be unmotivated and didn't want anything more in their life. What do you think it was? Yeah, I was at the scene of the crime every time. Now, at the end of a year and 10 months, my wife said to me, "Hey dear, I'm pregnant with child number 2. How's your business coming along?" Ooh. So I had to tell her the truth. I told her it's consistent. And here is what happened in a nutshell. If you get this, then you'll do everything possible to start maybe upgrading how we talk to people. So I spent $900, 3 days of my life, went to Minneapolis, Minnesota, and froze my butt because I couldn't figure it out. There's no way I was going to figure out what the 25 skills were or how to do any of them. So I went up there, and they got me started with skill 11, the magic sequence of words, a little bit that we're covering tonight, right? And I left $900 poor, thinking, I don't know about this. But they pointed out to me that the people that made huge checks in my city and me that made no check in my city, we had the same territory, the same product, the same comp plan. Everything is exactly the same, except when they were talking to the same people I was talking to, they just moved the words around a little bit. Now, my mom didn't drop me on my head. I said, wait a minute, are you telling me that all they do is move the words around a little bit and it's ka-ching, 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 they're making more money in a minute a day than I have in 2? Yeah. So I started standing next to the people that, make some bigger checks and tried a couple of their phrases. 60 days later, I had a full-time income in network marketing. Now, I want you to think about this. A year and 10 months, total failure, absolute nerd, no clue about anything. 60 days later, full-time income. Now, I usually tell that when I get started, let everybody know that anybody can do the business, but I want you to think for a moment. How many people here can see how easy it was for me to turn it around just by using these words? By changing the words around, I just went back to the 1,500 people I killed earlier, used the exact words, the new words, phrases, and it was ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. So I know it's the words. It wasn't a work ethic or, vision or anything. I just changed the words to the exact same people. It was ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. How many people here totally got it? So I went from a shy, nerdy, personality-free, charisma bypass, socially challenged engineer, year and 10 months of total failure, to a shy, nerdy, personality-free, charisma bypass, socially challenged engineer that had a full-time income from network marketing, never had to work again another day in his life. Still a nerd. Are we on the same page? Yeah. The entire difference is what we say. It's not what's on our flip chart. When you sit down with somebody, they don't see the company, they don't see the management, they don't see the pharmaceutical grade gunk in this thing, and they don't see the travel. All they see is you and the words you say. And that's all they have to make a decision on. So, well, you know how we should use better words? Most people here in this room has figured it out. And everybody knows if you use better words, you're going to have more people on your team. And everybody says we need more people on our team, we're going to have a bigger check. So would it be okay if we start learning how to use better words right away? Yeah. And of course. Yes. Now, some people look at me like, I don't know, what's that look you have on your face like, are you kidding me? Are you saying you get people to believe stuff by just changing the words you say in front? Yeah, I said, right now you have a whole list of words that don't work. You're using them. So we need to start making a list of stuff to stop saying, right? Like, oh boy, do I have an opportunity for you. Oh, that's hot. Have you considered your plan B? Stab you in the eye. We got to start changing what we say. Now, there's an old saying that you should never believe what people say, but only observe what they do. And there's an old saying that practice makes perfect. And there's an old saying that 2 paychecks are better than 1. There's an old saying if you work hard on your job, then only your boss gets a big house for his retirement. There's an old saying that stitching time saves 9. There's an old saying, never put your tongue on a frozen pipe. There's an old saying, if you're not the lead sled dog, then the view is always the same. And there is an old saying that whenever you say the 5 words, there is an old saying in front of anything, people are naturally going to believe it because it's an old saying. You say, is that how the human mind works? Yeah. That's kind of pathetic, isn't it? So, guess whose turn it is? You're going to turn to your partner and start trying a few old sayings. And he says there's an old saying. You can never think of an old saying whenever you need to. Yeah. And there's an old saying, if you don't take care of your body, then where are you going to live? There's an old saying, if we stand here with the same coffee cups for 85 years by the coffee machine, nothing's going to change. There's an old saying, if you go home and watch TV, seeing other people make big money, you ain't going to make any of it. And there's an old saying, if you hang around 4 broke people, I guarantee you're going to be number 5. Are y'all ready? Turn to your partner and try an old saying. Let's begin. By a show of hands, how many people here would like to make a big jump and start rocking? All right, we're going to do an experiment here. Are you ready? What we're going to do is, how many word phrases do you have already?
Well, you know,
kind of a math challenge area of the country. All right. Do you have something such as, well, you know how?
Yes.
Most people?
Yes.
Would it be okay if?
Yes.
Everybody knows?
Yes.
Everybody says? An old saying? We even did a course, didn't we? All right, so we got 7. Just starting with those 7, do you think that we could be pretty awesome? Would you like to start increasing them a little bit quicker? All right. How many people here have ever talked to somebody and nobody was home? Could that happen? All right. So if you're going to be pro, the first thing you're going to have to do is freeze their mind, bring it to a complete halt, make them forget whatever they're thinking about, all the drama in their life, and totally focus on what you're about to say next, like a puppy dog waiting for a treat. And if you can't do that, keep the day job. I forgot to ask. Is it okay if we're sort of direct tonight? Yes. You're all leaders. Usually with distributors, about half of them went home and cried already. So, but it's okay if we're just direct. We only have a limited amount of time, right? So how many people here totally get it? Unless you learn the skill of freezing their brain, nobody's listening to you. That stinks, doesn't it? Now, do you, how many people here want to be ultra pro? All right, so they're going to have to listen to you, right? So you might want to start writing some of these things down. Because when you talk to people, they have drama in their mind, don't they? Are you a salesman? How long is it going to last? How much is it going to cost? I've got to start thinking of excuses. Will Survivor 13 get off Highland 14? You know, who fed the dog? All this stuff is going through their mind. They're not hearing what we're saying. Now, fortunately, because the human mind is set up the way it is, you can only have one conscious thought, everything else is automatic. You can speak to the automatic part, the subconscious mind, the part that has automatic programs that makes automatic decisions based upon automatic phrases that you use. If you're shopping, somebody sneaks up behind you and says, "Can I help you?" You automatically say, "Oh no, I'm just..." All right, are we all on the same page? All right, we don't have to belabor that. So you're going to have to start learning to talk to that part of the mind. Now, do we learn this in school? No. But if you're going to do this business, well, you have to learn it. Yeah, so we've got to start writing some of these basic baby steps on skill number 11 to get this thing out, at least going before we go home. Now, fortunately for us, we don't have to be a psychologist, levitator, magic card tricks to take control of somebody's mind. It's very, very easy. You can take control of their mind with 2 words, 4 words, 6 words, 9 words. It's just that easy. How many people here believe you can take control of somebody's mind with just a few words? Wow, my influence is pretty underwhelming. Okay. What I'm saying is to freeze their mind, bring it to a halt, make them forget whatever they're thinking about, and totally focus on what you're about to say next. Now, I'm going to use some 9-word sequences to show you how it's done. And The reason I like to use 9 words, because that impresses people from New York that Texans can memorize 9 consecutive words. Just like that. But, he didn't get that far, but we voted him out of Texas. Now, with 9 words, they control somebody's mind. If you had that ability, would that make your business better from the moment you left here and you make a bigger bonus check? By the way, how many people here think you're going to make a bigger bonus check just using these words? Yeah. And of course, if you don't use them, it'll be pretty much the same, won't it? I mean, there's an old saying, if you don't change, then nothing changes. Everybody knows it has to be true because it's an old saying. I mean, everybody says so. Now, for those that are skeptical about taking control of people's mind with just a few words, it's just a matter of learning something we don't know. If you ask me to cook, I don't know. It's a different skill than what I learned. I learned how to eat. All right? But some people know how to fly a plane, which I do, but driving a car is kind of iffy, especially here in New York. A little bit intimidating. So I have some good news and some bad news. I have some good news and some bad news. That'd be roughly about 9 words, even in New York, right? I have some good news and bad news. Now, there's a program in the mind that if you say I have some good news and some bad news, the survival program takes over. The curiosity program. What's the good news? What's the bad news? I cannot go on life if I don't know what the good news and bad news. Please tell me now. This is really pretty unfair, but the human brain has no chance. This could be illegal. But when you say the words, I have some good news and some bad news, what happened to your mind? So if you say these words, this is what happens. And that's not rocket science. It's the skills of our profession to freeze their mind so they hear our message. If you don't want to freeze their mind and say a message where nobody's hearing it, that's your choice. But I don't think that's acceptable if you want to make a check. So, you're probably thinking, well, how do you use it? Well, I'll show you how powerful this is. There's a man named Alex about 4 years ago in San Francisco. 26 years old, came to the workshop. Next day he sends me an email from work. Awesome. He says, Big Al. He says, I walked to my job here today into the office, and I'm the young kid there, and I announced to the office I have some good news and some bad news. And he writes, the whole office got quiet. And then he wrote, but I didn't know what to say next. So we might want a couple examples, don't you think? So, what product haven't we picked on yet? What's another product? Healthy coffee. I have some good news and some bad news. The bad news is your coffee is probably killing you a little bit faster than you should be dying. But the good news is we have some healthy coffee that's actually good for you, that tastes better. All right, what's another product? Yes? Essential. I have some good news and some bad news. The bad news is when your baby has colic and fusses all night that nobody sleeps. But the good news is you can rub a little lavender in the bottom of the baby's feet and both baby and parents sleep. I have some good news and some bad news. The good news is we sell some toothpaste that's all natural with no chemicals in it. But the bad news is some mothers don't know it and they stuff chemicals inside their children's mouth twice a day. So it doesn't matter which one comes first, does it? Because you already messed with their mind. All right, what's another one? Electric. I have some good news and some bad news. The bad news is you're always going to get a bill, but the good news is you can lower it with our special plan. What's yes? Debt. I have some good news and some bad news. The bad news is the credit cards. Oh man, the interest alone eats up most of your salary. But the good news is you can refinance everything, have a lower payment, and then spend the money gambling. All right. Yes.
Life insurance.
Life insurance. I have some good news and some bad news. The bad news is you're going to die. That's pretty bad. But the good news is you can leave some money behind so they don't, talk about you badly after you're dead. Maybe a different one. I have some good news and some bad news. The bad news is you got to buy life insurance. So the good news is you can get the government to pay part of it for you with our special plan. Some good news and some bad news. The good news is we all want to retire, but the bad news is we use our own money to do it all ourselves.
What was your multi-level marketing product?
What?
What was your product?
I can't say. We're supposed to be allegedly a generic thing here tonight, right? But if anybody here drives in their car, yes.
Bad news is very cold outside. I was outside waiting for the start of the bus. Bad news.
Okay. And the good news is you're here now writing down some cool stuff.
I found you inside.
All right. Excellent. All right. How many people here can figure out a good news and bad news? Good news and bad news. The good news is we have a job, but the bad news is it's going to make us broke. True? Good news is we get 2 weeks off for Christmas. The bad news is that's all we get for the whole year. The good news is we have a wonderful vacation. The bad news is now we have to work for 1 whole year. All right. Good news and bad news. So are you all ready? Turn to your partner and tell them, say, I have some good news and some bad news. Let's rock.